So welcome to this next video for Comp 3218, Game Design and Development at the University of Southampton. My name's Dave Millard, I'm a lecturer on the course, and I'm here with...
I'm Tom Blount, I also lecture on the course.
So we've got a couple of games to look through in this video. They're all narrative games. Tom, do you want to say a little bit about what we asked the students to do?
Absolutely. So for this coursework, we were looking at storytelling in games. We asked our students to produce a small game prototype that featured a story engine, so a way in which the story affected the gameplay and the gameplay affected the story. And we asked them to base it on one of 3 different fairy tales.
Brilliant. So I think our first one up today is Thumb's Quest. So I have high hopes that this is not the Queen Bee, but one of the other fairy tales we gave them. Here we go.
Okay, Thumb's Quest.
Oh, okay. I like a jaunty title screen.
Yeah, that does appear to be made of thumbs, which is a little...
Yeah, that's quite disturbing, isn't it?
I quite like the... hang on, I'm just going to... let's lower the volume just a little bit. There we go.
Wow, yeah.
So,
thumb font is exciting.
I really like the little thumb cursor though, that's kind of neat.
Okay.
So we're presented with our first choice. Do we want to play or do we want to quit?
Yep.
There we go. A nice little outro of the
nice little
title screen as well, yeah.
More thumb font. Oh,
Chapter 0, The Wish.
Oh. Oh, great. There once lived a woodman and his wife.
Okie dokie.
Nice.
They had no children and lived a peaceful life. They were not that rich, but could get by. Unfortunately, one day the wife fell terribly ill. There you go, so a little sort of cutscene. Obviously we're not expecting,
really
AAA graphics, but the fact that they've got like the nice sort of the nice backdrop that changes as the sort of text progresses is a nice touch.
They're not bad at all, are they though? I really appreciate the efforts they've gone to. It's nice.
Yeah, absolutely. As she was in bed with the woodsman by her side, she said, "Ah, I am so sick, but oh how happy I would be to have one child." See there, we sort of differentiate between the narrator and the wife with weirdly with the sound of the text coming across as well, but also, even if it was so small, even no bigger than my thumb. So again, you might not be able to hear this, Dave, but the text going across the bottom of the screen makes a little bit of a noise, and it's different depending on who's speaking.
That's nice.
Which is like just such a small little touch, but it does really help.
And the little wiggle, there's a little wiggle going on as well, isn't there, with the UI that gives it a kind of a rhubarb and custard type feel.
Oh, that's it, yeah. Hey, do you want a free kid? I'm instantly suspicious of this.
Yeah, this never goes well.
Who said that? I'm Matthias, the talking boot. Do you want a free kid?
Okay. Yes.
I'm not so sure about this.
We probably should go for it.
Do you know what? I'm going to click don't get the kid because I want to see what happens.
Okay.
So I think I spoke to them during the development of this and I have an idea of what happens. Go away, you weird talking boot. Alright, bye.
Very compliant. Oh dear. So it's inappropriate laughter. But yes, okay. I think I can see the problem that you were trying to highlight.
So I think that's there intentionally for comic effect, but still, when we're talking about managing agency...
Yeah. So in fairness, they have dropped us straight back into the choice.
Yeah. Like, having the illusion of choice in your game is alright, but if one of the choices just immediately drops you to a game over screen...
Yeah. It's not the illusion of choice, is it? It's just not having a choice.
Here is Tom Thumb.
He is small.
Tom Thumb. He's definitely bigger than a thumb. Yeah, look, no. Yep, definitely bigger than a thumb. Yeah. I want to call him that, so it should be like that. At least Tom is excited by it.
Okay.
And look, we've even got an integrated tutorial. How nice is that?
So these are not just sort of cutscenes. They're kind of little point and click adventure type things. Okay. Okay. Ah, very nice. I like the little bit of information design to give us a cue that we can do something. And you mentioned it in passing, but you're right. To integrate the tutorial is good as well, because that's easy to forget when you get into this.
Also,
And we've got a coin.
another nice little bit of polish is as the text is appearing, you can just click through it. So, if you read faster than it appears on screen,
Yeah.
you can just click and it'll appear, which is really, really good, especially in sort of dialogue-heavy games like this.
Yeah. By clicking the right mouse button, you can inspect objects. All right. Okay. It's like being back in a LucasArts game.
It is, isn't it?
Fantastic. Okay, let's go for it. Do you think he always wanders around his home carrying his axe?
How else would we know he was a woodman?
That's true. Okay.
He's not wearing a mask.
Yeah. Ah. Oh, that's a nice little setup. So we have an incentive. Is it worth looking around?
I don't know. I'm gonna...
There's some stuff. Can you click on the other things that are on the shelves?
I don't know. I can't differentiate between them and the shelves. Oh, you can, yeah. Oh, yeah. So adventure games are very good for this sort of narratively driven story, but it's very brave having to write a little bit of text about everything in the world. All right, chapter 1.
Yeah, no, it's quite ambitious. Here we go.
Okay. The wonders of logging. Get on the horse. Okie dokie.
Okay. So we climb up his. I like the fact they're giving you little clues as to what you should do when you click on other things. I really like the way they're getting a certain dry tone across in the writing as well. Okay. Oh.
So I'm a little disappointed they kind of went for this. We'll just put a mini game in here rather than sort of traditional adventure game puzzles.
Yes. I thought they were going full on adventure game.
But let's see how it goes. So there's coins. We'll run out of time.
Okay.
Okay.
Some coins.
Let's go for all of the coins. Now it looks like we're going to have to go past those two suspicious-looking folks over there.
Yeah, you can kind of go round them.
Can I? Oh, around there. Yeah, but can I get into this bit?
Yes.
Oh, over there, yeah. Interesting.
Oop.
So I feel, is that going to...
Oh, another stranger.
That is queer indeed, lol.
At least they have paused the timer as well.
Yeah,
Good.
just checking that. LeMayo. We could try and buy the little circus freak and make loads of money.
Okay, so a little bit of story in the mini game. I like that too.
Go for some extra coins.
So you're right that they kind of changed the style a little bit, and I a bit like you, I was kind of hoping they'd go for a adventure game sort of puzzler, but the art style ties it together really nicely.
Yeah.
I think the sort of the hand-drawn element really works well. Okay, you got
Loads of time. If I can get through there.
I was just about to say not a huge amount of time.
Loads of time.
No, get back in there. There we go.
Okay, we made it.
13 coins. Okay. Here we go. So there's quite a lot of this. I'm just looking at their narrative structure. Yeah, they've got a very significant structure here.
All right. Well, as you've got the structure there, which do you reckon I should do? Should I let myself be sold?
So are you gonna let yourself be bought? It looks like they've managed their agency quite well actually. So
All right, I'm gonna say no because we reckon we're worth more than 30 gold. There you go, 60 coins. That's more like it.
go on.
All right.
He needs the money. So I mean I know the story, so I know that's his motivation. It might have been nice to have that before the choice. But I do like the way it's kind of integrated into the kind of the mechanical motivation, if you like, of collecting the money.
Although it does feel that like those 12 coins I collected in the maze are a bit of a pittance compared to.
It all adds up.
It's true, it does.
Okay.
All right, chapter 2.
Chapter 2, yeah. So essentially there are two alternative chapters, depending on what choice you made. And then they'll return you back to kind of chapter 3, which has the same structure in both versions, but has slight variations in it. So it's a nice examples of managing agency. It's good. Okay, so we're gonna. Oh, okay. Where are we going now?
We're escaping down a mouse hole, apparently.
I like that. A little bit of a timed choice. Give us some pressure. There we go. Chapter 3. So we've managed to escape from the thieves. So basically, if we'd have made the other choice, we'd have got to this point by a different route, which is kind of nice. And then we have the encounter with the thieves. So I reckon at this point we're about halfway through.
Okay.
So I think that we should carry on, maybe going through the scheme and seeing what we think. And if you come to any interesting choices, perhaps you can pause and we'll have a bit of a chat about it.
Yeah.
All
right. So
presentation. So this is information design, graphics, and audio. The information design is really nice. There's getting some more examples of it there. A little bit of iconography showing what to do. You can see the coins in the top right-hand corner. A little pause button. The sparkles on the to let you know when you can interact. It's all very obvious, isn't it?
Which is actually, like, if you are basing a game on sort of, old adventure games, like, that is definitely a lesson that, like, a good lesson to learn from them, that you don't want to turn it into a pixel hunt, you want to make things obvious when they're interactable or not. So that's a really good decision.
Yes. And in terms of the graphics,
they're really nicely drawn.
They work really well. And not only are they nicely put together, but they're nicely integrated. So that the interface is in the same style, the little mini game you played is in the same style. I'm really, really impressed by the level of polish. It's very nicely done. So what about the music?
I'm warming to these thieves, I'll be honest.
Yeah. What do you think about the music and audio?
Yeah, it's really nice. We've got like a lovely little background track. We've got sort of the little noises sort of as the text appears and things like that. Just little bits of polish that's helped tie it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of as you get a coin, you get that lovely little ding to let you know your money's going up.
So presentation-wise, excellent would be key information is shown clearly, consistent and appealing graphics, and a good use of audio. And it seems to me that they've got there without too much problem. Prizeworthy would be novel yet clear ways of showing key information, consistent and thematically resonant graphics, excellent use of audio effects and music.
The only one negative I've got with the sort of information design is it's not necessarily obvious where you can walk. So for example, the little sequence with the horse, I didn't realise that you could sort of just directly walk up the horse's tail. I was assuming it'd be like an interaction thing. And just here, there seems to be some sort of invisible wall stopping me from going over there.
Oh, okay.
So I was sort of hoping to go and, get a sneaky look through the windows, but it looks like I can't actually do that.
So it seems to me that the graphics and audio probably do count at the prizeworthy level. I mean, they're about as complete as I would expect from something of this scope.
Yeah.
So it's only the information design which I wouldn't say is enormously novel, and you mentioned some problems to it, but it's still very good.
I'd still say it's probably at least at the excellent tier.
Yeah, but I think it's probably between the two. I'm very impressed with the look and feel of it. They've done a really great job. Okay, gameplay. So this is the mechanics and controls, and whether it leads to meaningful play. So, how are you finding the controls?
Yeah, they're alright. Other than the thing that ties into the information design, it's not sort of super obvious where's a walkable area and not.
Nice.
I like that. But otherwise, yeah. It's a point-and-click adventure game. I can point and I can click and I can move around. Yeah.
And it's definitely playable. So here, good would be a set of complementary mechanics, smooth usable controls, and meaningful play. Excellent would be a wide set of complementary mechanics, intuitive and smooth usable controls, and enjoyable and meaningful play. So I wouldn't say necessarily they've got a wide set of mechanics, but the controls probably are at the excellent level, and the actual play I think is enjoyable and meaningful play.
I will say there's not a huge amount of direct play. So there's the little mini game where you're sort of running around a maze and the timer's ticking down and stuff. Otherwise, a lot of the gameplay is limited to just, do you want to choose A or B?
Yeah, you have got the interaction with the environment, and I've not noticed anything where that interaction changes some of the choices that you have. So, in this case, for example, you could try and have a look at these books, and he gave you some pithy comments, and that helps characterize him and is worth doing in its own right. But whether or not the fact that you tried to look at the books has any impact on the later narrative, I don't know. But you do have the interaction with the environment. So for me, it feels that the gameplay is at the good level, and I was wondering whether it was worth pushing it up, but maybe halfway between good and excellent.
Yes, perhaps. So another nice sort of touch of information design I've noticed is this thief has said he owes us a favour now. So we've got a little icon up here.
Icon. That's nice. So again, that's another little game mechanic. And again, it moves this into being a game and not just a visual novel.
But see, this sort of bit here, where it's like we can either sleep and progress the story, or we can continue looking around. But I'm not sure what the benefit of looking around is. You have the game notes. They said I'm half wondering, should I look around because there might be a coin? Aha, there we go. So there is a reason to carry on doing that. So there is a little bit of gameplay to these areas where we can sort of search around and see if there's any sort of hidden secrets.
So, bugs. Good is game is playable and reasonably complex. There are only minor bugs and these are uncommon. Excellent is game is playable, is reasonably complex, there are no obvious bugs. So it seems at least excellent to me. Have we found any bugs?
I've not. No, I mean,
seems to be working.
Yeah.
Prizeworthy would be game is playable and is of higher complexity. There are no obvious bugs. Do we think it counts as higher complexity?
That's the bit I'm sort of wondering about.
I mean, it's very well polished, but that's not quite the same as high complexity, isn't it? There's lots of little touches which make it work really well. So, you could argue that those touches nudge it up, so maybe between the two?
Yeah, perhaps. It's kind of interesting because sort of incorporating like a mini game and a sort of point and click adventure game technically highlights the complexity.
Yes.
But if they'd have had a sort of, a more complex adventure game where it's lots of sort of, there's more mechanics like picking up things, combining items or whatever, using them in oddly shaped locks, or a more complex maze game and focused on that, I think that's the sort of thing we're looking for when we're sort of talking about extended complexity.
Yeah. So did that just say chapter 4?
I think so.
Yeah. So actually there are 6 chapters, so you are halfway through at this point.
All right.
So I think one way that they have kind of failed is that they've created an experience that takes a lot longer than 10 minutes to play. But
I'm being eaten by a cow.
Yeah,
that's not great.
Nice. Yeah. Inside the cat's stomach. I like it.
So the music has suddenly got very ominous.
Oh dear. What can I do? Call for help.
Why would I not call for help? It's weird to make that like a really timed choice.
Yes. There's no real time pressure, is there? Is there?
Well, I mean,
That's one bit.
there sort of is because we're in something's stomach. But why? What's our incentive to not call for
It's not
help?
quite the same as having to make a choice where other people are taking actions around us, though, is it? It's
Yeah.
But yep. Nope. The maid. So we're getting a little bit of difference in the graphics there between the maid and the cow.
A little bit.
They're in roughly the same style. I like the way they've really embraced this world is full of idiots way of doing things.
Oh no. I feel like this is a reference to something, and I don't remember what.
The part where he eats you.
Oh, that's a thing I'm gonna have to look up later.
Okay. Okay, so we're still going. Let's push on because I think we've got quite a lot of story to go. So, story engine. So this is basically the linkage of the kind of the game world and the narrative world. So does the state of the narrative, does that change the state of the game world, and do actions in the game world impact the narrative? So we asked them to mention this in their game notes. Yeah, so different choices are presented to the player depending on what path they've taken. So if you take a route where you face off against the wolf, you're given choices how to defeat the wolf. And it applies to minigames. If you take the route where you go to the circus, then you should play a circus minigame, but you wouldn't do that if you'd taken a different path. So it seems to me that the narrative choices definitely impact the game world because you're getting different scenes and different environments depending on
Yes.
your choices you've made.
But here's the thing. So there's an entire mini game that we've just missed,
Yeah,
and we've not had a lot of. Like, again, the gameplay has been sort of very limited to just A or B.
yeah.
So I'm kind of sad we didn't get to see the circus minigame.
The narrative, the game world impacts the narrative via story changes dependent on the decisions made. And that's the other way around. That's the narrative impacts the game world. And the narrative impacts the game world via path-dependent choices and minigames. And you have 3 different endings with 2 variations of each ending, making 6 endings. So what are the ways the game world impacts the narrative? So the game world are things like the coins that you've gathered.
I would say, sort of the bit where you're in the barn and you can continue to explore and find the coins. Presumably, the amount of coins I have is going to affect the narrative at the end.
Yes, I'm just having a...
Oh, poor doggy.
Yeah. So one of the options is you didn't get enough money. So I think that's evidence of it going the other way, but there's not that many. And I suppose this is what I was getting to, that it'd be good if more of your interactions with the game world impacted the story in some way. So that more of your exploring the environment actually kind of... And this, I think, is what we wanted. So I'd rather they've done that rather than the mini-games.
Like, for example, when we were sort of casing the Parsons house.
Yeah.
Like, if we could have gone up to a window and sort of looked through and got a little bit of information saying, the parson is currently in the kitchen, and then we could have gone back to the thieves and said, we should break into the the parlor or whatever.
Unlocks new options in the narrative. That demonstrates what we're after, and I suspect that the effort that they would have spent on doing that is the effort that they ended up doing on the mini games. But yeah, okay. So it goes both ways, but okay.
I got the perfect ending.
Oh, You sold yourself to strangers. You did not go to the circus. You helped the thieves steal from the parson.
It's interesting it considers that a perfect ending.
When does it tell us about your mother?
Well, we just got a little thing saying not only could we afford her medicine, but we could afford a castle.
Ah, that's right. Okay, I missed that. So, yeah. Very nice. So, 122. Doesn't actually tell us how much we're aiming for, does it?
I don't think so.
Okay. Chapter 0, The Wish. So back to the beginning again.
Yeah, I'm just going to go
maybe
through.
You might have time to go and find the circus. Let's see if I can find. If you don't get bought, I think you end up going to the circus. Okay.
Okay. So don't get bought.
That's the route to go for. Let's try that. And while we're doing that, let's talk about the story engine. So I think it goes both ways, but I think the game world affecting the narrative is actually fairly limited.
Yeah, I agree. I guess that's partly because there's fewer examples of there being a game world.
Yes, yeah. So I think in the circus minigame, it might be that depending on what you do in the minigame, it might have an effect as well, but we'll see. So good would be an effective story engine that's integrated with the game world. There are some examples where the story impacts the game world and is impacted by events from the game world. I think it's definitely got that, right? Excellent would be an effective story engine that is well integrated with many examples of both ways. I'm not quite so convinced it's there.
I don't think we have that sort of.
But it's definitely good. We'll see what happens in the circus, but that limitation seems to be the thing. Agency is interesting. So this is, do they have an interactive story with several branching points, and are there interesting choices and attempts to manage player agency? So you can't see the structure here, but essentially what they've done is they've used an awful lot of foldbacks to control what's going on. So you go through chapters 1 and 2. You go through chapter 0 and 1, I should say, and then you go to 2 alternative versions of chapter 2, depending on whether you get sold to the strangers or whether you go to town, which ends up in the circus. Chapter 3 is then different, but it's kind of like a mirror world. So in both you encounter the maid, right, and you kind of different things happen. I think if you went to the circus route, that's where you get the mini game, right? And then they come back together again afterwards for the whole eaten by a cow business, right?
So it feels like they've sort of, through the structure of the story, they've created a lot of extra content, but a lot of extra work for themselves.
Yes, yeah, but they have managed agency. They've found every choice you make. With 1 or 2 exceptions, which we'll get to in a minute, they find ways around it, right? And they kind of carry on the story with a different path. If you don't get the kid at the beginning, the story ends immediately. We said they tried to make a bit of a joke of it, but that does happen. If you don't call out for help, then you die.
Oh, okay.
Right.
See, this kind of, yeah. There's a lot of,
and there's also another choice in one of the versions of chapter 5 where if you make the wrong decision, then they cut the wolf open and you get killed basically as a result of that because you're inside the wolf. So there's a lot of places where there's sudden endings, and they've mitigated it by putting you straight back to the decision, but that isn't really the way to do it. So on the one hand, they've done this incredible job of managing agency in the majority of the story, and then they have 3 examples where they completely fail to manage agency.
And that's even in those sort of choices that do have an impact on sort of the progression of the story.
Yeah.
They don't. There's not a lot of basis to make some of those decisions.
No. So well, let's deal with the branching bit point because this is a heavily branching story. So I think there are a network of choices here. They've actually got a lot going on.
Yeah, there definitely is that.
Different decisions in that. So actually, the level of interactivity in the story is up at the is arguably up at the prizeworthy level. The managing agency thing is probably a bit lower because of some of the issues we've said, but they clearly demonstrated that they're doing quite a lot to try and manage agency. So I would still say that's kind of the good kind of level, maybe even excellent. And then the last bit of this is whether the choices are interesting choices.
So this is interesting. So I guess I don't know if this is the mini game they're talking about for the circus one, but this one feels more closely integrated to the rest of the gameplay. So I have a choice, like, do I call out to this person or this person? Who do I think is going to give the biggest tip?
Nice, yeah.
But again, I've got no like huge. So do I charge him 8 or do I charge him 5? There's not a huge amount of.
No. So there's. So one of the problems that they've got themselves in is their story has so many branches to it that they've given themselves lots of places where they can make a mistake, right?
Okay, I guess this is the mini game.
Yeah, here you go. So most of the time, I would say that you're making choices, right? You're not making calculations. But then you've got these 3 occasions where they're not really choices, because if you choose the wrong thing, then the game ends. And then there's also a question of, are they interesting choices? And on the one hand, they've done quite a good job of building up the character of Tom. Watching you play this game. But on the other hand, as you said, you're still making some of these choices a bit blind. Like, should you charge this amount or not? Maybe there were clues in the environment that would have helped you, but it's not obvious. So it's kind of, I think it's a little bit mixed in terms of the choices themselves. So good would be some interesting choices. So I think overall for agency, they're held back a bit by some of the choices they're getting you to make, and also some of those dead ends that they put you into. But there is a lot to like about their story. There's a lot going on, and they're managing agency quite well most of the time. So it probably is a good or even slightly above good, but I think probably no more than that.
Okay, so what's next?
So poetics.
Ha.
So do the narrative and gameplay complement one another? Are the key mechanics in keeping with the story? Well, the key thing here is collecting coins to save your that's your objective, isn't it? So it is kind of well integrated, isn't it? You're exploring environments, you're exploring narratively. Even the mini games, to a certain extent, are about exploring and collecting.
Yeah.
The theme of the story is really about how Tom Thumb is kind of, underestimated and can do more because he's a clever and plucky little fella, basically. And the fact that he's the size of a thumb doesn't matter quite so much as you'd think. I'm not necessarily getting those vibes from it, but it kind of hangs together.
Yeah.
So good would be narrative and gameplay complement one another. The key mechanics are in keeping with the themes of the story. And excellent would be that they support one another and the mechanics emphasize the themes of the story. And I would say that they probably complement one another in that the narrative and mechanical goals are the same, but they're not really working together to build a strong theme. So for me, it's probably good.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much they really build to. I don't think they're in active conflict.
No.
There we go. There's just a.
So one of the things Okay. So, and again, they mitigate it by dropping you back in there. But okay, techniques. So this is pacing and game writing techniques. So the game writing techniques I think are really good. They've got dialogue, they've got some scripted events, they've got environmental storytelling. There's a lot going on. I mean, I would say that the game writing techniques are, up there in the prizeworthy category.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, particularly, like you say, they have a particular tone, and that's sort of carried through with the things you interact with, and it's quite nice.
How about the pacing? So we're looking for ascending pacing, preferably with more than one peak and a clear climax. So I think you do get some, so that the first part of the game when you're at home, that does feel kind of low key, and then there are a number of beats to this story, right? So there's the encountering of the thieves, there's the encounter with the wolf, right? I'm not sure if they've quite pulled off the climax well enough, though.
That's the thing. It's they have a nice epilogue that sort of says you got this much gold. This is what happened.
But the climax is really the interactive part. That's your last interaction with the game, which determine that climax,
and
which is this bit, right?
Yeah.
So I think. That's great. Another example of how they've done the storytelling so really well. Right. Now is this the bit where he's going to cut the wolf open and we could? Oh. I think you've made the right decision.
But so again, like if that's the climactic final scene, it's not a
final decision.
It's not a choice. It's either win or lose, effectively.
Yeah. So okay, so so for the pacing, satisfactory would be some ascending pacing. Good would be ascending pacing with a clear final peak. And excellent would be ascending pacing with more than one peak. And it feels like it's more of the sort of satisfactory or maybe good if you say that the whole interaction with the wolf is the end climax. So I think given that we've got one half that's kind of down at the good, the other half's up at the prizeworthy, that would normally put it kind of in the middle of sort of the excellent position. Does that sound fair?
Yes, I'd almost say maybe not quite at the excellent, just because.
I agree with you, but I actually think they've done such a good job in terms of the techniques.
You think that bumps it up? Yeah.
I think it bumps it up. I think they've got they're doing multiple things.
Yeah, right.
There's 4 or 5 different ways they're telling the story, which is really nice. And it is just a shame that the pacing kind of lets them down a bit. But all right, so finally the feedback. Okay, so they were told that some of their first choice is meaningless, and they were told it was okay to have a few, maybe for the comic effect, but make it obvious and make it reset right back. So they only had 4 game over screens, and they always set the player back. So that's the right thing to do. They've mitigated that problem, definitely, but it was still something that we noted, and I don't think it's cost them any marks, but it hasn't helped them at all.
Yeah.
Think of the information you're getting ahead of that choice and what you're telling the player before that choice, and inform them how to make the choice. So this is exactly what we were saying about meaningful choices. And they said, for this we made dialogue that was previously optional forced. For example, the strangers talk about buying Tom and reveal some of their intentions, and that can inform the player of what choice to make, and they make that unavoidable in the maze. So that's why you have to bump into them in the maze. And dialogue was added to add implications to the effect. For example, when the stranger is offered to buy Tom for 30 coins, Tom explains that his value is greater, which implies that refusing the offer could result in a bargain. Okay, so they did kind of give you some signposting for
that is definitely the example of that I notice, because that was I think the one choice where I said, oh no, I'm going to make a decision because of this thing.
Yeah. We also felt that signposting every branch in the story removes the element of surprise. Therefore, some parts are left for the player to decide which is best, so there's no immediate implication of what the best method to defeat the wolf is.
But that's the problem.
Yeah.
One of them just kills you dead, and the other progresses.
And some clues earlier on in the story, so rewarding the player for remembering something that they've read earlier would have been quite good. Think about the themes they want to draw out and how they reflect in the game. Perhaps focus on the theme of overcoming your shortcomings in a large world. So they said their theme is Tom's small size and his place in the story. Yeah, to a certain extent, but
how have they brought that theme across? So
I think that there's one or two things they've done there which have worked. So trying to mitigate the game over stuff, and putting some examples in. But again, in a sense, the sheer number of choices they give you means that they haven't covered all their bases, and there's still some examples where the choices aren't good, and there's still some examples where the choices are are not choices.
So there are some other elements in here where if we explore, we get a little extra bonus coin.
So I would say, good is feedback was articulated, reasonable changes have been successfully made, and satisfactory with feedback was articulated and some changes have been made with partial success. So I would say that because of the scale of what they're doing, I would say it's still fair to say that where they have made those changes, they have been successful. So that would make them a good, but I wouldn't go any higher than that, because I think there's more they could have done and more complete. They could have been more complete in the way that they did this.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
Okay, but a really nicely polished game, lovely put together, and a really nice story. So yeah, really good job. Shall we move on?
Yeah, let's move on to the next one. Okay, and this one is Reclaim.
So you've got a little thing telling us the controls, which is good.
Yeah, so movement, interact, and attack. Okay.
So again, it would still have been nice to integrate it with the game a little bit more, but fair enough. Okay. So
I was going to say I can't interact with this sign, but I can if I'm in exactly the right place.
It does say.
Again, we've got some lovely little music, which I'm just going to drop down a little bit, because I want to make sure everyone can hear Dave. There we go. So Ether interaction.
Having said that they haven't integrated the tutorial with the game, they kind of have.
I can't press space. Oh.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay. Slight little bug there. I don't know whether that was just because I tabbed in and out, but let's ignore that for now. So is this an enemy or is this an NPC? What do we reckon?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm kind of... it doesn't look like an enemy, but you've got a giant sword and shield up in the corner, so... there we go.
There we go. It's a little bit worrying that the same button to end dialogue is the same button to attack. So if I try and get through this dialogue quickly, I'm liable to stab him in the face.
Yeah.
So Azathoth is betrayed to the king. Which of the stories do we think this is based on?
Yes.
Hypothetically, what happens if I do accidentally stab him? Okay, nothing. Good, there we go. Managing agency. We can't kill story characters.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's obviously evil because he has an eye patch. And he's swinging a sword at some brambles.
Yeah. Pick up a golden heart.
Okay. To restore 3 hit points. We don't really have numerical hit points, so it's a little bit odd to...
Yes.
Oh, I have to explicitly press E to pick it up as well. Alright, pop.
Oh, okay.
Pop.
Don't seem to be too much of a problem.
Okie dokie. The town of Karhay lies to the north. Off we go.
I'm still a bit perplexed as to which of our 3 stories this is.
I think it's the Queen Bee, purely because it mentions a castle.
Okay.
Then again, maybe not.
Ah, there we go, yes. The story basis is the Queen Bee, which is all about karma and consequences to actions. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a number of different NPCs that are telling us, giving us sort of little narrative and information about the game world. That's kind of nice. Ooh, side quests.
I was going to say, is this a side quest? I didn't spot an exclamation mark over his head.
Hang on, I missed that. Okay.
Okay. Rafa's over there.
There, we can tell because they're wearing a different shirt. How did you get here without being attacked by the golem? The what?
Yes. Oh my goodness. We need a quest log at this route.
Yeah. Alright, southwest shore, which I'm going to assume means down and to the left.
So I think basically the structure of the game is that there are these side quests are the kind of narrative parts basically.
Okay, I see. Okay.
Okay.
Some very dramatic music while we're just talking to the wizard.
Well, that's a wizard. Okay, so we found out about the horrible golem, and now we're finding out that the horrible golem was a person. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, this is a get item A to do item B.
Let's go find the troll. Again, not sure how this relates entirely to the Queen Bee story.
Still, there's nothing like some fetch quests to fill the time while we find out.
So there's a golem that's not inherently bad. The troll, though, is definitely inherently bad, so we can kill him just to get his blood and rub it all over our sword. That's fine. Also, he's got a club, but he is swinging a sword at us.
Oh yeah.
Bop. 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 Bop.
Okay.
It's taking a while, this. There we go.
Yep. You took quite a lot of damage.
I did. I sure hope the golem isn't going to do that much damage, because... Also, is it me, or is it getting darker?
I said they've simulated day and night.
Why?
Well...
Okay, now it's getting lighter again.
It'd be nice if it had some kind of consequence.
Oh, there's the golem.
Ah.
Golem also has a sword, just a really big one.
So we now have our sword. We've killed the troll with the sword, presumably. So
I can only assume yes. It's got troll blood on it. But I don't really like my odds for this, so I'm just gonna. I feel like this could be quite tedious.
Yeah. Is there any indication of the golem's health?
Nope. Neither was there for the trolls.
That's a shame. So remind me, what was the point about the troll blood? Was that the only way we could damage the golem, or was that the...
It will break the enchantment and turn him back into a person, I think.
So presumably if we kill the troll first and then defeat the golem, we save him. If we don't kill the troll first, we just kill him.
Okay. So I got reset, I think because it hit me and took off all of my remaining health. So I'm just going to go check that the troll's still dead and we don't have to do that again.
Yeah, I was going to say, how much is reset?
Alright, let's go back over here. So actually, just in terms of managing agency, like we started here, we could have gone in any direction, but they put a path here. So I just immediately went, oh okay, I've got to go along the path. And then when we reached the village, they said, oh yeah, there's other stuff. That's actually a really nice touch.
It is, yeah, that is very good. Yeah.
Like, they could have just had it be a totally linear thing, so you walk along up to the village, you walk up to the troll, but no, it's actually integrated into the game world, and it's just signposted in, like, it's just a nice level design thing. If you put down a path, the player's probably going to follow it. So that's quite nice.
Definitely a nice example of managing agency and trying to get people, giving them the freedom, but also ensuring that the majority of people have a sensible narrative experience. Okay, so God knows how much I have to hit this thing.
That's annoying. So okay, we did it, but that sort of like sword animation, if you just bump into the sword after it's been swung, it takes off about half your health.
Right.
So that's less than ideal, but alright, let's have a chat. Hello, Lieutenant Hilda. We've got a magic torch. Got some extra HP. Hey, look at that. Benefits to doing a side quest. Okay, so they are doing something with the whole light and darkness thing.
Are they?
Apparently the castle's going to be dark, so as a reward we've been given a torch. Ooh, there's some bandits. Bop.
Okay.
It's a big fella.
So what's that?
Just a really big bandit. Are they going to drop the medicine I need? Or can I just run around and find it?
Should we start talking about some of the elements of the game while you're doing this?
Yeah, let's.
So presentation, so information design, graphics and audio. What do you reckon?
Graphics, nice, consistent.
Yeah.
Audio, I mean, they've got some background music. It feels sometimes at odds with what's going on, but I think that's just, they put in some music and it doesn't always sync up, but fine.
Yep.
It'd be nice if maybe there was some little, attacking sounds or being injured sounds or things like that as well. Yep. And information design, like, mostly fine. It's very obvious when we can attack because of that giant blue bar in the corner. Same for our health. It would be nice to see like the enemy's health just so we've got a little bit of an idea. Yeah,
I think that's probably the only thing that's kind of missing a little bit. What's the Q in the top right hand corner?
That's the key to turn our torch on and off.
Okay. So again, they've given you a power, and there's an indication of that and how to use it, which is quite nice.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a little bit superfluous. Like, it doesn't. There isn't an E in the corner that tells you how to interact with things. Like, once they've told us. But on the other hand,
I think for special powers, it's a nice touch.
Yeah, that's
I think there's a lot to like on the presentation. Actually, it's they've done a pretty good job.
Okay, it's quite dark, but I am just going to ignore all of these things. Or try to.
So, okay. So on the presentation front, good would be key information shown clearly, graphics are consistent, appropriate use of audio. I think they definitely got that. Excellent would be key information shown clearly, consistent and appealing graphics, a good use of audio, effects, and music. I mean, other than the thing about the monster health, I think you could probably argue they're up there with the presentation, actually, with excellent.
I think, yeah. I mean, maybe. Ooh, it looks like they're damaging each other there. That's kind of interesting. They are.
Oh, that's interesting.
Bug or feature?
Feature.
I'm just letting them kill each other.
Trap on the bridge and let them kill each other.
I mean, I'm gonna say bug because they're not meant to be, like mindless idiots. They are supposed to be protecting Azoth the Betrayer or whatever.
Yes. Gameplay then. So, what the mechanics? Are they complementary, smooth controls or not? And is there meaningful play? So, what are the mechanics? So you can obviously move around, you can attack.
We can chat to people.
You've got your torch on and off.
I mean, yeah, the torch isn't stupendously meaningful in this context, I don't think, but
no,
I might as well keep it on.
Maybe a little bit of maybe they're planning to do a bit more with it.
Ooh. Okay, so the music does change when we get to the final climactic boss thing. I think it's
Yeah.
actually coming out of the boss, because as I move around it, sort of like directional audio from this giant boss. So he's carrying a stereo around with him.
Nice.
Ooh, that's...
That is a big sword.
Okay,
You don't want to be hit by that.
I'm getting I'm getting Dark Souls vibes from this.
So, I would say that there's a good would be a set of complementary mechanics. That feels right.
Yes.
There's the controls smooth and usable.
Yeah, occasionally sort of a little bit, like, interact doesn't always seem to interact where and when I think it will, but sort of a bit of a minor.
And meaningful play. I think there is meaningful play.
I mean, yeah, it's like it's relatively simple, but I am quite enjoying this little boss fight.
I mean, I might even say that some of the interactions with the enemies actually make it quite challenging. I might even suggest we perhaps bump it up a little bit. You know, enjoyable and meaningful play would be excellent. So maybe put gameplay halfway between the two.
Perhaps. In fact, yeah, let's do that, and then I'll sort of have a little bit of a go at it for the bugs part.
Okay. Let's find out what the king says. Thank you for rescuing me.
Okie dokie.
So we're in here.
So this is nice. So we have our climactic boss battle, but then we have an epilogue. But it's not just, you know, fade to black, here's some text.
It's like we can go and talk to all the people we've met on our journey.
And again, this is like obviously small little prototypes, so it's not like a huge collection of, like you say, the like everyone in a Mass Effect game or something like that. But just the fact that there's like a couple of interesting characters that we've spoken to, and our impact on the world is noticed. Yeah, so because we didn't find the herbs.
Yeah, so we get to find out all the consequences of our actions. Very good. I really like that. That's a really nice way of finishing.
Bug-wise, the combat... I mean, the fact that they kill each other in combat is kind of annoying. The fact that the bandits just get stuck in shrubs and swing their sword sort of blindly, I think takes away from some of the meaningfulness of the play.
Okay.
But other than that...
And there's a decent amount of stuff going on.
Yeah.
You know, I would say that so good would be game is playable and is reasonably complex. There are only minor bugs and these are uncommon. Feels about right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me scoot up to the end.
So what's next? Story engine?
Yes. So I just wanted to see the denouement that is being presented to you. So I'm wondering how they're going to finish. Basically, my daughter awaits you, Captain. Okay. Slightly old-fashioned storytelling, one might argue.
Also, not terribly similar to the Queen Bee.
No.
But I think we're going to cover that in a minute. I feel like they're setting this up for a sequel.
Yes.
And then, yeah, just smash cut to the title screen, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah. But I like that little kind of travel through the castle at the end. That was good.
Yeah, I do really like that as a technique.
So, story engine then. So, this is basically how integrated together are the story and the play. Does the narrative affect the game world? Does the game world affect the narrative? So we did ask them explicitly in their game notes to say that. And they said the narrative impacts the game by providing the player with options on how to carry out their quest. They're giving a single main objective. However, by talking with the NPCs, they will find out more about the current situation and giving choices to help them. By helping them, the player is rewarded based on the outcomes of the quest, which in turn makes them more powerful. I would... Yeah, it's interesting, actually. So I would argue that that's the... So which way around is that? So they are suggesting... what rewards did you get from completing the quests?
I got a torch and plus 10 health.
So 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 they didn't do a lot with them, but that is evidence that the different routes you take through the story will get you different impacts in the game world, right? So there is some evidence of it going that way. In terms of what you do in the game world affecting the story, you've got these kind of diegetic choices. So the thing about going to kill the troll first, and that's how you make the decision about whether to save the golem, for example. So that's a bit more convincing to me.
Yeah. Also, while I'm here, in sort of terms of agency and stuff, the golem doesn't show up until you've gone and spoken to somebody in the village about the golem.
Oh, okay.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's necessarily a bad thing.
No, I mean, you could have managed it either way, right? So you could just encounter the golem and decide to kill it, and then later on discover that it wasn't really a golem.
I think that's it. It's deliberately so that you at least have a chance of figuring out the true nature of the golem, rather than just going, oh, it's a monster.
It's a reasonable way to manage it and to make sure that it is actually a choice and not an accident.
Yeah.
So in terms of the story engine, then I think there is evidence of it going both ways. I don't necessarily think there's lots of examples though. Yeah. I'm just checking their game notes. So they're basically saying that you get different endings depending on what you've completed. So again, I think there's evidence that it's integrated. So good would be an effective story engine that's integrated with the game world. There are some examples where it impacts the game world and is impacted by events from the game world. And excellent would be there are many examples. So it's just the sort of the quantity of them. And prizeworthy would be to increase that to kind of diverse ways. So it feels to me like it's more down at the good and excellent level.
And in terms of, so this is sort of another example. The wizard, if we kill the golem first and then go and talk to the wizard, he still talks to us as if the golem's alive and we can save it.
Oh, okay.
He's like, oh, why are you still here? Time is of the essence. You must go east. And
yeah. So I think there's kind of like there's a few missteps like that. So that probably means that it's a good. Agency. So is it an interactive story with lots of branches? Well, so the way they've actually managed it is they have.
So it's interesting because each of those branches sort of runs in parallel.
Yes.
So every NPC you see at the end will change their dialogue based on the choice you made that impacts them.
They've done it in a very computer science way. So their game notes say the story engine is a 19-bit binary integer. So each bit represents a different flag, an event in the game, and the way the dialogue and events are chosen by checking the presence of certain flags based on player actions. So, for example, if the player has talked to the mayor, taken quest 1 and completed it with the best ending, their actions will be represented by the flags 10111. A check for these flags reveals the value 23, as that is the decimal representation of 10111.
Oh dear, that's...
So, but it is doing what you just said. So essentially, they're not controlling you through a graph mechanism. They're keeping track effectively of 19 different variables. And they're looking at certain combinations of those variables in order to decide on each point. In terms of managing agency, we've noted that they do some nice things, right? So they're using the environment to kind of guide you. They have certain things in the environment only appear once you become aware of them, so that your choices actually are more meaningful. And they try and deal with occasions where you haven't done things by checking those values. Although, as you showed with the wizard, that's not always entirely effective. So I think there's definitely evidence they've tried to manage agency. And there's clearly different branching points and different things going on. What do you think about the choices they're giving you? Are they interesting choices?
I don't know. So it sort of ties back to I'm not sure they're branches in a sense. I mean
Yeah, I mean,
it's difficult to articulate. Like the story obviously has different endings, but the way in which they're sort of presented and reflected, like the main story, I guess it's that because they're all sort of side quests. Like the main storyline happens exactly the same way in either case, from the looks of it. But then you get a little bit of extra dialogue depending on whether or not you did a side quest.
Yeah.
But I guess that might just be sort of semantics. Like if you look at it in the sense that all of the side quests are an inherent part of the main story, then yeah, it does branch, I guess.
Yeah.
As to whether the choices are interesting, yeah, I think they probably are. I mean, some of them are a bit convoluted. So the reason I say they're interesting is because it's, do I want to fight this thing, which, you know, might kill me, in order to get a bonus and to do a good deed?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, fair enough. Like, the fact that I just instantly respawn means it's less interesting, but again, in a prototype like this, I think I'd prefer it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm happy with the branching points. I know what you mean, but you know, you could plot it out as a graph if you wanted to, and there are, there's different orders in which you can encounter things. For example, there's then consequences of what you're doing. So I think there's a decent set of choices here. There's definitely attempts to manage player agency, and they're mostly effective. So for me, it probably sits between good and excellent for those reasons. It's kind of, there's one or two cases where it doesn't quite work, but most of the time it's doing a pretty good job. So what about the poetics of this? So that's kind of how well the gameplay and story match one another.
So this is the bit that I think, unfortunately, it's going to struggle a bit, because it doesn't really match. So it doesn't match the sort of the story on the face of it.
Yeah. In
that it's telling a different story. I understand that they've been inspired by the themes of that story, but I'm not sure they've brought those across super well either.
No. So again, a few people did this where they took the theme of the story to be your decisions have consequences.
But even then, the consequence is you get +5 health or not.
Yeah, and that's not really the point here. The point is that kind of.
I mean, you can't. It changes the flavour of the final text as to whether they could save the wounded or whatnot.
Yes, but it should be about the queen. The queen bee is about kind of, like I said, you make what seem like altruistic choices, but actually in the long run it's of benefit to you, right? So what goes around comes around. Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. So it's not that your choices have consequences, but that your choices come back to get you, right? And if you made bad choices, then bad things will come back to you, and if you make good choices, then good things will come back to you. That's the point.
I mean, they sort of they note that in their game notes where they say it's it's all about karma.
Yes,
but that doesn't reflect. So I mean, I've taken that choice and I've killed the troll. And I mean, we'll have a look and see what happens when we get to that little epilogue.
Yeah.
I mean, there's sort of the concept. I love this sudden rock guitar just pumping out of the boss. Like for example, when we didn't collect the herbs, we got a sort of we couldn't save all of the wounded kind of thing. But it's not really emphasised as much as it should be in this.
Well, they should be coming back to help you now, right? This is the point. So this is the climax of the story, and the things you've done. I mean, so your extra hit points, for example, yes, they're helping you, but it's not obvious. It's not that. It's not
thematically resonant, right?
No,
it's not a bunch of people you've helped coming back to help you. It's +5.
Yeah. So I think they've kind of they've misunderstood that a little bit and not quite pulled it off. So I don't think the narrative and gameplay are opposed to each other at all. I think they're. You're running around, you're killing things, you're collecting stuff, exploring. It's fairly neutral, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's maybe a bit too detached, apart from. There is some impact of your choices.
So satisfactory would be narrative and gameplay do not interfere with another, but the key mechanics have little to do with the themes of the story. and good would be narrative and gameplay complement one another, and the key mechanics are in keeping with the themes of the story. You know, and some of the themes, I mean, you're running around, you're destroying things. The theme of the story is you have to kind of rescue the king and all the rest of it. So I mean, maybe halfway between the two.
Yeah, perhaps. Golem, I wonder where it came from though. Yeah.
So techniques, this is how they're telling the story and the pacing. So the story's being told through the kind of text at the bottom. I'm not spotted any sort of environmental storytelling going on.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the fact that sort of it's not just that it's the dialogue; it's that it's different NPCs sort of throughout the the village and throughout the world will sort of tell you things or hint at things, and that exploring is sort of a way of revealing those, I guess, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
But you're right. Otherwise, like this bit's kind of annoying. So I know I said I really well. Hang on, no. Yeah. Two things. One, the fact that there is this epilogue, I think, is sort of a technique within itself.
Yes, actually, that's a fair point. Yeah.
The fact that they have sort of like massive climactic boss battle and then epilogue showing you the consequences of your thing, that acts as a technique.
Yeah.
However, the fact that it just immediately smash cuts to the this, like,
yeah, that's a shame. Okay, so if we think about the techniques, good would be the use of more than one game writing technique. Excellent would be consistent use of more than one game writing technique. I think if we credit them for that nice little sequence at the end, then that probably means there is more than one, and therefore it counts as good for the technique. But this technique mark also includes the pacing. So what do we think about the pacing?
So it certainly has a clear final peak, which is good.
Yep. So good would be an ascending pacing with a clear final peak.
And I think we have that. So we have the ascendant pacing of, we talk to the guy at the start, he sets out the scene, we follow the road, we chat to the villagers, we fight a couple of small bandits first, then we come to the village, then we go and do a different quest. I think it's got quite good pacing.
So excellent would be ascending pacing with more than one peak.
And again, I think we have that. So we go and fight the troll, we go and fight the golem, like there's sort of like...
So you've got the bit at the beginning where you're exploring, then you have a series of kind of peaks in the middle where you do each quest, and then you have the climax at the end.
Yeah, it's...
So I think what that means then is that would be excellent for the pacing, and the techniques themselves, the way of conversing, conveying the narrative would be good. So kind of between the two, between good and excellent. Yeah,
I think that's it. Like it's a very simple example of that sort of like multi-peaked pacing we're talking about.
Yeah.
But that's sort of ideal in this situation.
Yeah.
Like it's a little prototype. Just show us that technique as simply as possible, and they do kind of get that.
So feedback. The main feedback was to keep the scope of the game realistic. Originally, a reputation system was planned with dialogue choices varying based on it. This was not implemented as it did not affect the narrative as much. There's also feedback to make the choices in the side quests nuanced. This keeps the game more interesting than mundane good or evil choices and adds replayability, as the choice is not overtly presented to the player and instead dependent on game mechanics, such as choosing to defeat an enemy or deliberately avoiding killing them for a different ending. So, yes, do you think they've done that? I mean, the scope of the game, okay, although a little bit. I mean, we have said that a little bit of interaction with the dialogue would actually be quite a positive thing to have.
Yeah, and they sort of do mention it here and there, like so this character in town, I think, when you've killed the golem, says, "Oh, thank goodness you killed the golem." So they do a little bit.
There, yeah. So instances of that is good. And
I think
shows interaction between the game world and the narrative. The bit on the nuanced side quests.
I'm not really sure about. So I get where they're sort of coming from with that, but it's still it's still very sort of like save the golem or don't save the golem.
Yeah.
like I like that the fact that like the nuance is kind of in the mechanics to a degree, in that
the diegetic choices is nice actually.
Yeah, I guess that's it. It's the fact that it's a diegetic choice I like about it, but the actual choice itself is like still relatively simple. But that's
good would be feedback was articulated and reasonable changes would be successfully made. Satisfactory would be feedback was articulated and some changes be made with partial success. It feels more like a satisfactory.
It does feel a bit more like a satisfactory, I think, for this. Like I see where they're coming from, but I'm not sure they've necessarily implemented like those changes.
Okay. A nice example though. I think kind of they've done some really nice things in this game, and there's some bits of it we really really like that epilogue section, like the use of the level design to kind of control where you're going. Some of the diegetic choices are really good. So there's some nice things here.
All right, excellent. Let's move on.
Yep, let's do that.
All right, and this one is Gold Virtue.
Okay, so we've got quite a nice
little animated title screen. Yeah,
bit of animations going on. Let's play.
My dear dwarf, if we are to marry, then my father requests a dowry.
Okay.
You must pay a sum of gold to marry me and must fund the wedding yourself.
Right.
You do not yet have what you need. Hang on, is this how dowries work? You do not yet have
the gold.
What you need, you must find the gold.
Right.
Use WASDA to find it and come back to me when you have finished your adventure.
Okay. So, all right, little bit of controls in the text, a bit of tutorial elements.
Alright, no real direction other than go get gold, so I guess we'll just wander around and explore.
So do you have to press anything when you go up to these people, or do they...
No, it just automatically shows up. So this person has lost something, and you know, I've played video games before, so I imagine if we bring it back to them, we'll get money, but...
Well, except, have they lost something, or is this your internal monologue looking for the gold?
Yeah, that's a good point. We don't really have an idea of who's talking.
No.
Like,
and it was a bit like that when you went past the other one, and there was this sort of wondering about bandits. It's like, was that the person, or is that you just thinking about bandits as you walk past the person? It looks like it's people talking to you.
Yeah. But there's no way for us to interact with them and say, bandits, you say? Well, I'm an adventurer.
Yeah. So we've got a health in the top left corner and an amount of gold. 0.
Don't know how much gold we need. How much is a wedding?
So there's another person over by that tree. Is that a person by the tree hiding as a trunk?
Hello.
Can you interact with those at all? Are we?
I mean, I haven't been told any controls. Apparently, I can hit them with my axe, but that doesn't seem to do anything.
Click on them or do anything with them?
No. I'm pressing buttons just to see what happens, but no. I mean, the only controls they've told us is WASD. Fields of Love, the Eastern Creek, the Pressburn Grove, or the Golden Bee Steppe. I mean, they've got some good names. Press space to attack. See, I actually missed that when I walked past here the first time. So you're just going to say the same thing again?
Okay. So in fact, your interactions on those are the little arrows, aren't they? And that's it. So.
Yeah.
Danger ahead. Okay. Hat guy.
All right.
That guy looked the same as.
You remember how I just complimented them on their names?
Yes.
I take that back.
Yeah. Oh, is that a?
That's a chest full of gold. That is. How do I?
Yeah. And
click on it.
Somebody in the pool.
Press. So there's a big chest full of gold. I've been told to go and collect gold, but I have no way of interacting with this gold. Let's talk to Sensei instead. Oh no, he isn't talking to us.
Could be it, or it could be a fish with a moustache. Oh no, this is Sensei. Stuck here in the lake.
My things are in the chest. Help me up so I can get them back. So do we help him or do we steal the items?
Aha. So what do we know about Sensei?
He's stuck in a lake. I mean, he's a kindly old man, I'm sure. Let's help him out of the lake.
Go for it.
I don't know why. Like Hat Guy just told us, Sensei is in trouble. Like, why couldn't Hat Guy have got him out of the lake?
Yeah.
He's just sitting here fishing.
Either that, or he's having a tinkle into the pond. It's very difficult to tell the difference.
Yeah. So, his dialogue does update, which is good.
Yes, that's true.
Sensei will remember this.
And if you go back over there, has Sensei moved?
Yeah, he took his chest and ran off.
Right.
There's like a little bit of an animation there. Oop, there's...
Oh, there's a duck.
Ah, yes.
Need help. Okay. I lost my duckling and can't find her anywhere. Oh dear.
We
okay.
only get the one option here, because who could refuse to help find a poor duckling?
Yep. But no clues.
Just, there's a duckling somewhere. Please find.
There's gold somewhere, there's a duckling somewhere. Come on, fishies. Okay. What's that down the... Oh, yeah, okay. So we're looking for a duckling.
Now, if you were a duckling, where would you be hiding?
I think I'll be down this path.
Interesting.
Oh. Is that the chap's chest? Oh, E. Ah. So we've got gold. 1380. Okay.
So it's a
We've
little...
found some gold. Is that enough gold?
I don't know. It's a little odd that it says, oh, there's nothing here, let's go somewhere else. But then...
And then there's a chest, yeah. Have you just accidentally broken through there? Or can you not come down any further?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm supposed to get through here or not. I don't think I can actually get further down than this. Yeah, I can't go down, so I think I'm not meant to get through these trees. So that's...
Okay.
It's interesting how he still says there's nothing here. Like...
Yeah. Okay, that's an odd bit of misdirection, that is. Otherwise, I'd quite like what they've done there. They've taken you down this path to what looks like a dead end, but there's a clue that there's something off to the left with that little break in the trees. That's quite nice, but yeah, the misdirection is peculiar.
So is the duckling going to be somewhere around that duck, or is it going to be the total opposite end of the map, do you reckon?
Well, you'd assume it'd be around the duck.
I've not seen it though. Let's do one more pass, and then, or shall we just keep going? Oh, there's Sensei. He's back out of the...
Well, Sensei. That's right.
So there we go. Game world updating.
Yep. So it looks to me from the structure of this that there's kind of 3 independent quests, and then once you've resolved all of those quests, you get like an end quest.
So I can't do either of these things because I don't have 30 gold and I don't have the 20 gold for the villager, and I don't want to beg for it either.
Oh dear.
Let's. What happens if I say buy it for the villager?
Not to intervene. Oh, the villager bought it for themselves.
As they were planning to do anyway. So somebody said, I'd like to buy some honey, please, and then I came along and said, don't worry, I'll pay for that. So, oh, thank you, that's very... Oh, I don't have any money. Oh, okay.
So you tried to buy it for him?
I don't know why. Why is that an option? Why would I want to buy it for them?
Ah.
I mean, I get that, you know, it's a do a good deed for a person, it gets rewarded for you in the end kind of thing. But it would be...
No,
it would make sense if they couldn't afford it.
Yes.
And then we said, oh, don't worry, I've got this gold. Like, you obviously need this because you're very poorly and honey is good for very poorly people.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, they've not set that up well, have they? So now we have some sort of fight.
So I can either mug these dogs, or I can say, please don't hurt me.
Shall we...
I mean, they've stolen it.
Let's see if we end up with a fight, because we've not seen any fighting.
Yeah, I mean, they've stolen it, right? And as every, RPG player knows, bandits are effectively free money.
Absolutely.
Bonk.
Oh, so the
Okay,
fighting...
they are technically damaging me. Not a lot. I think we're
Um,
more just having like a little dance party.
Okay, so slightly odd fighting mechanics, but
Okay, there we go.
it worked. E.
Okay, it's a little bit of like extra.
And now you could go and
Like,
buy the...
why don't
so
I just get all
presumably-
of the gold when I open the chest? Why do I have to pick it all up?
They forced you into that dialogue with the stand when you went past. You didn't have a choice.
Correct.
Right? So you
And his
can't
thing-
go back.
Now it would make sense at least because now I've lost some health and now I. But now that was his last one, so there's no reason for me to.
Yeah. So they've set that up as a linear encounter, and they've controlled your agency using the landscape.
But
So
they've sort
that's
of put it the
quite-
wrong
that's quite
side of that
good.
encounter.
But it's not clear to me why.
This
Yeah.
does not look like a friendly bee.
No.
Buzz 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 buzz. Attack the bee for its honey, or ask for some honey. I think I'm
No.
good, to be honest. I need the gold. Buzz 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 buzz. Here you go.
Oh, so it gave us
So it just gave us some honey.
gave
Alright,
us some money.
which just healed us a little bit.
Right.
So why would we attack the bee?
So one of the odd things, I'm looking at their structure for this, right? So you kind of have a choice. So if you look at the honey stand is one of their quests, right?
Okay.
So a honey stand, and you have three choices: outbid the villager, beg for it, or buy it for the villager. If you beg for it, it's not clear which way it goes because it seems to go both directions. But if you outbid the villager, that's called the good moral choice.
Wait, what?
And if you buy it for them, that's the bad moral choice.
What?
That doesn't make any sense.
That's
So perhaps they've labelled their diagram wrong.
I th-
So that then takes you to the bandit camp, where you can either fight or ask for mercy. Whichever thing you do, you end up getting attacked by a bee, and your choice should be fight bee or give the bee, or pay the bee.
I
Which you
did.
either get or then give the money to the villager. I'm not sure how this is structured, this quest. It
That's
seems very
also that's not what happened.
odd. No.
I attacked the bandits and then I met a bee who just gave me some honey. I didn't get
No.
attacked or anything.
So I don't think that their structure that they've put here is what we've just experienced. And I don't know whether that's because the structure's wrong or because the game's not working as it should. So you're now helping someone fight some bandits?
Yeah, he got mugged, so I can give him all of his gold back, keep it all for myself, or
split
offer.
it?
You know what? I just killed two people for you. I think I deserve like just a little bit.
Okay, and you got a little bit.
And then he runs off.
And now you're going to encounter a beggar.
Aha. So part of the problem with this is I don't know how much money we need for our wedding, you know? Like if it was a case of get to 100, I
Yeah.
would feel very different about this choice if it were get to 10.
Yes.
Or like even if it was
not
like
knowing what you're aiming for is difficult.
like if it were 50, like would I
Also-
feel I'd feel a lot different if it were, 2000 or something. There we go. I'll be a good person because I'm a sucker for obvious good choices in games.
Okay, and we've encountered the ants.
I have not heard that. I'm not sure that is good luck.
Just feels mean. Mm-hmm.
I didn't click anything there.
Oh.
I guess I just moved slightly outside of the... Because I said so.
Fair enough.
Oh,
Okay,
they-
so thank you for saving us. Thousands of lives.
They are talking ants as well, which
Okay.
I don't know whether that makes that better, but it feels like it does.
Yes. Okay, so I think you've encountered the bandit structure. You've encountered there's one for the sensei, there's one for the honey stand, there's one for the bandits, and then there's this other one which is called the gem quest.
Interesting. So there's a sort of hidden passage here.
And as part of that, there's this kind of wedding thing where the outcome depends on your choices. Let's find out.
Timmy's
Timmy's
adoption fund. What? What?
Ah, dear.
Are we going to go and meet Timmy, or
No idea.
is that just a reference to something I'm missing?
So another nice little bit of hidden path going on.
Oh, we've not found a duckling.
No. Lost my family gem somewhere.
Oh.
So the gem quest is this mysterious one.
So this is the person who was saying, oh, where could it possibly be? Something has triggered that means now they're asking for our help.
They've heard about you.
Because they've heard. That actually isn't bad. That's
No,
kind
it's
of...
nice. Your grand deeds mean that you are now a person to approach for help finding gems.
Well, that's in. Ooh, I've just noticed we do have this glowy outline around us, and
Yeah.
it was yellow at the start. It looks like
okay.
it's changed green. I wonder if that is an indication of our moral fibre.
Yes, they do have a moral system behind this, and that's something they talk about in their game notes.
It's doing the Fable thing of, you know, if you're good, then you start glowing, and if you're evil, you glow red. Hello, thank you for buying the honey.
Life would be easier if that actually happened.
That's broken because I didn't buy the honey for you.
Yep, okay. Yeah, well, we did say that the logic for that quest seemed to be different than the before starting the wedding. Okay, so a little bit of a clunky choice, but again, controlling agency. Go and find that duckling.
Alright, I was looking for the gem.
So unfortunately, the narrative notes basically consist of a box saying "Help Duck?" ?
Help duck?
And your choices are help or roast.
I didn't get the choice to roast the duck. Oh no. Dave, I want to check if this is a diegetic choice. But I also really don't want to kill the duck.
Oh, go and kill the duck. Otherwise, we're here all day.
Okay, good. It's not a diegetic choice.
Right, let's find this duckling.
Alright,
What about
alright.
going up there? Are they up?
Oh.
Been up there?
Man, they didn't... I was going to say they didn't look very hard, but then again, I guess neither did we.
That's true. Yes, I'm lost. Let me take you to your mother.
That's kind of nice. Like, adds the sprite to ours.
Yeah, that's quite cute. You found her. Please give her back to me. Oh, roast instead. +1 health.
It's weird that this is where the choice happens.
It is peculiar. Oh, that seems somewhat cruel. I like the way. So they've gone off to the pond now. If you go and have a look, are they
Oh,
all bothering you about a pond?
I walk so slow.
Perhaps I shouldn't have bothered asking you to check. No, they've gone somewhere. They walked off in this direction.
Yeah.
All right. So, can we go up to the wedding field now? Do you think?
I don't know. I still need to complete quests, it said. But it didn't give me an indication of what quests they were. I would have assumed it would be a case of, it was like, oh,
it.
are you sure you've got enough gold? Do you want to...
I think you've got to the end of
Oh.
the... Oh, hello.
But I was looking for a gem. I didn't want to go here yet. I was literally in the middle of saying how I didn't want to go here yet because I still had a quest to do and it teleported me here anyway.
Okay. Yeah, it's odd. So here's the people that you helped. So they've all assembled.
I think it's because I went past the princess.
Yes.
But because I had no idea how much gold I needed, I had no
No.
idea that she'd say, okay, we're ready, let's go, and just teleport me here.
Thank you for all your help. That's not supposed to... I can say thank you for your help. Okay, but they don't actually do anything. So they're very nice. They're lovely wedding guests. They don't appear to do anything. Okay. So there's a slightly broken honey quest. So go and talk to the princess then.
That makes me very happy.
Okay. This is fantastic. So do you think she refuses to marry us or something if we...
I don't know if we turn out to be a horrible person. again, sort of, we've seen this technique sort of used before, where you get like a little
Yeah.
epilogue where you talk to everyone you've met on your journey. And I do
Yeah.
like, but the only one that really sort of, I mean, I guess the fact that
So the problem is that this kind of epilogue works really well after the climactic drama of the narrative, right?
I think we don't
But
have
we
a
haven't had a
climactic.
climactic drama of the narrative. This is the. So I think you're done. I mean, it's not clear to me. Can you do anything if you go and talk to the princess? Can you?
No, she just says, "Isn't it nice?" Oh, and our gold is now 0. So they've absolutely sort of failed to put in a climax or even a conclusion to the story.
Even a bad climax, yeah.
Well, there's not even a the end. It's just now I'm stuck here in this wedding party forever.
Yes. Okay, let's start going
Totally.
through the steam because I think it's some interesting stuff to talk about in their story sections. But let's do the sort of the main ones first. So presentation.
It's very nicely presented actually. The art style is
Oh,
quite
good.
nice.
Yeah,
The
information design is fairly clear. It's always obvious what you.
well, it's obvious how much gold I have. It's not
Yeah.
obvious why that's meaningful though.
No, so the problems for the information design are there's no
Contextualizing it.
how far we are towards our goal.
Alright,
And also, we weren't given many directions at the beginning, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but we did feel a bit lost, didn't we? I suppose there's the paths there, but
But
so,
it normally in a sort of little RPG kind of thing, you're told, oh, you need to go and do this thing. I've heard that there are some bandits to
Yeah.
the west or something, and that sort of sets you going.
gets you going, yeah. So so presentation. Good would be key information is shown clearly, graphics are consistent, appropriate use of audio.
Oh, sorry.
So, yeah, we have to talk about audio.
An extra thing to talk about the information design first. Yeah, I do think our little glowy aura
Yeah.
does indicate our good evilness, which actually I
True.
quite like. That's a nice little touch.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
audio.
audio.
So there is some nice background music. There's a little sort of audio. I guess what do you call it? Sort of. There's a little bit of audio when you click through the dialogues. There's a little bit
Yeah.
of audio when you swing your axe.
Yeah.
I feel bad for this.
I mean, I would say that actually the audio and graphics, you could argue, are at the excellent level. Consistent and appealing graphics, good use of audio, effects and music. But, and the key information is shown clearly. So for presentation, I'm wondering whether they're either an excellent or somewhere between a good and an excellent.
I think probably between a good and excellent.
So are you thinking because there's a sort of a limited set of elements, or?
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Okay, so gameplay. So this is the kind of the mechanics. Are they complementary mechanics? Do you have smooth controls, and is there meaningful play? So what are the mechanics here? You can interact with people in dialogues. You can swing your axe and attack people.
Sort of bit of ludonarrative dissonance here.
Yes.
Can't kill this NPC.
You can move about.
Yep. Also, this sign says danger ahead, Eastern Creek. There's no bandits
No.
whatsoever in that direction. They're all elsewhere.
So, okay, so gameplay-wise, then, I mean, so I wouldn't say there's a wide set of mechanics, but
No.
there is a set of complementary mechanics, just about. What about the controls?
The controls are fine. The combat's a little bit weird. Like, it's not always obvious when you're hitting a thing or when it's. That sort of, I think, ties back to what I was going to say with why I don't think their information design is quite at the excellent level. Because
Yeah.
when you're fighting something, it's not obvious that you're hitting
Yeah.
it.
That's true. That was another thing, wasn't it? Even if they just flashed red or something, would be useful. Okay, good for this would be a set of complementary mechanics, which I think they just about have. Smooth, usable controls, that seems reasonable, and meaningful play. And I think that probably is where they are.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. It's
Um,
the thing that
Yeah.
not necessarily concerns me is the meaningful playness. Like
Yeah.
again, because we don't have the direction, we're just sort of wandering
No.
around doing things and we're not sure why.
Yeah. I think for me that's what stops it being the next one, enjoyable and meaningful play, because you feel a bit goalless.
But you still think it's meaningful because
yeah,
there's
you know what you're doing.
yeah you have a goal, you're just not sure how you're
and you're interacting sensibly with the world to achieve your goals, right? So I think it's kind of there. Bugs. So this is interesting because it depends what we count as a bug.
There's a big bug there. So this is interesting because I bought the honey and didn't let this person have it.
Yeah.
The story has branched and changed, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Angry bee.
So do you help them steal it, or do you?
I've got a lot of health. Run away. Just gonna run away. Oh, interesting. They've prevented me from running away. Managing agency.
Yes.
So actually, that's quite a nice touch as well. And also, there is a sort of different music for when you're in combat. But I should.
Although it's slightly clumsy managing agency.
It is, but
it is there.
But see, that's the sort of information design I'm talking to. I've got a giant bee just floating over me, and I've no idea who's damaging who.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got sidetracked. Where were we?
Bugs is interesting, right? Because it's not clear to me whether there is some bugs in the narrative bit.
So there's definitely some.
Yeah, because you had the villager say "Thank you for helping me" when you didn't, for example.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I don't think it's a huge amount of bugs. I mean, so good would be game is playable and is reasonably complex. There are only minor bugs, and these are uncommon. And it still feels like it's kind of there.
Yeah. Like, I think there's probably is enough complexity to warrant that.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the story engine. So, the story engine is essentially how well integrated is the game and the story. Does the game influence the story world, and does the story world influence the game? So they have said, how does the narrative impact the game world? They've said, many of the decisions that you make impact the game world through the morality system. The player's morality is indicated by the colour of the glow behind them. There you go, it's a good spot. By making good decisions, helping others, the player can improve the morality, which will change the way that NPCs react to them. For example, if the player has a negative morality, then NPCs will respond negatively back to them. So yeah, okay, that's fair enough. That's a clear way. I also think we saw some other things. So we've seen characters move about. We saw the sensei in a different position, for example.
He came back and tried to kill us.
The duck. So I think that the game world is definitely responding to the state of the narrative. How does the game world impact the narrative? So they say the game has a morality system. For example, a player with good morality will have an additional quest. The outcome of a player's decision can also be affected by the morality. An example of this is the bandit camp near the bee, where a player with a negative morality can escape from a fight as the bandits are friendlier, but a positive one cannot.
Didn't notice that.
No.
I've been trying very hard to be evil in this run.
But also, this is how the game world impacts the narrative, and that's another example of the other way around. The narrative is impacting the game world.
Yeah.
And the ending of the game is a culmination of the narrative impacting the game world and the game world impacting the narrative. The NPCs presented at the wedding. There are additional NPCs depending on the player's morality, and the ending narrative is directly impacted by the game world as a combination of the gold collected and morality determines which of the 9 possible endings the player gets.
9 possible endings?
Yes.
We've not seen one ending. Are they just counting the combination of characters that are there?
That's what they're doing, I'm sure. I'm not sure about that. So
I would say
yes, it is true that I suppose the one bit where the game world impacts the narrative is you can pick up gold in the game world, and if you get enough gold, then you get an alternative story ending. So that's there, I suppose, but it's quite loose. So I think there are lots of examples of the narrative impacting the game world. They've done a really good job of that. And they've not done a particularly good job of the game world impacting the narrative, but there is at least one example of it, right? So for me, that kind of puts this at the kind of good level. An effective story engine that is integrated with the game world. There are some examples where it impacts the game world and is impacted by events from the game world. Does that sound sort of fair?
Yes, I think so. So yeah, I was going to say that this is sort of the only part I could see where the gameplay affects the narrative. But with 2 caveats. One, most of that gameplay is done through narrative choices in the sort of,
yes.
Do you pick option A or B?
Yeah.
And B...
The one... The one thing I can think of is collecting the coins.
And that's the thing. There's no. The problem is, it doesn't affect the narrative because there's no narrative conclusion. Like, there's just some people here that say things, but we don't have the wedding.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's get on to those. But, well, actually first of all, we need to think about agency. So this is how interactive is the story?
Also,
seven branching points. Are there interesting choices, and are there attempts to manage player agency?
So, also, I didn't bring any bandits to my wedding. I killed them all.
Nah.
So I don't know why they're here.
Yeah.
But okay, so there are.
Yeah. So in terms of the interactive story, it's definitely an interactive story. There's definitely lots of little branching points.
Yep. So the sort of minor branching points within the story I actually quite like. The fact that sometimes you do something and then later on it appears back. Like, if you're mean to Sensei, he shows up.
And it's little touches like that make a big difference. So I think you're right. I think they've done a nice job there. And I also think they've made a good attempt to manage player agency. So they've deliberately stopped off, like when you were fighting the bee, for example. They've done stuff like they've directed you through narrow passages to force certain quest things to come up. They've used the paths to guide you around. So there's some good attempts there. And actually, they've also used the narrative structure because they've got the kind of classic foldbacks thing. So I think they've done a good attempt, for managing player agency. It's a little bit clumsy in a few places, but it's there. What about the choices? Are they interesting choices? Because this is the bit about agency that I think they maybe fall down a bit.
So, again, it's all goes back to sort of contextualizing those choices. So the Sensei choice is kind of interesting. Like, do you nick his stuff while he's stuck in the river? Yeah. Or do you help him out of the goodness of your heart? Like, that's, I think, like, sort of the most interesting choice I've seen. Because, we've got a goal, and here's a quick and easy way to progress towards that goal, or we can do the good thing, which supposedly helps us later.
Yes.
But the other choices are stuff like... So a lot of the choices are sort of inspired directly from the fairy tale of the Queen's Bee, like, do we roast the duck or not roast the duck, or do we...
But they also seem kind of random. It's like, why would you say you'd help, go and find the duckling and then kill it? Right? It's just kind of odd.
Yeah, and that's it. It's the way they're sort of...
the right choice is to say, do you help this duck, or do you not help this duck, or do you kill this duck? And the penalty for helping the duck is that you're supposed to be finding gold, not wasting your time looking for ducklings, right?
Yeah.
But
I mean, they try and do something with that in that if you eat the duck, you get a little bit of bonus health. So it still has that whole short-term gain versus long-term altruism thing. But in the context of the world that they've set up, and your goal and your quest, it just feels a bit odd. And like the ants one in particular is just do you squish the ants or do you not squish the ants?
Yeah. So they've not done enough to kind of contextualize the choices or set them up so that they are genuinely interesting choices. Although you're right, actually, they've made an attempt at a few places to do that. The interaction with the honey stand is bizarre.
Yeah, I think that's a really good example of where they've clearly tried to do something like that, but they've not quite got it. And also this Timmy's adoption fund in the wood. I kind of assumed that I'd meet somebody later on who'd be like, oh, thank goodness you found this thing that I lost in the woods. Can I have it back now?
Yeah, or even, oh no, we cannot me or whatever it is. Yeah. And if they had, that would have been a nice example of some environmental storytelling as well, or as you were saying earlier on, diegetic choices. Okay. So I think they've got an interactive story with several branching points. Yep. I think they've got some good attempts to manage player agency. Like I said, a little bit clumsy, but it's there. And both of those things are kind of at the kind of good or excellent level. But the problem, I think, is the choices. They do have some interesting choices, but there's an awful lot of not very interesting choices. So I think on balance, it is probably still good, mainly because of the way that they've tried to manage the agency.
So this is sort of, again, speaking of managing agency, or at least dialogue choices, we have different choices here.
Yes.
I guess because of our moral compass, although it's not obvious that that's the... Yeah. So because we're not good enough, I guess, we can't explain why the ants shouldn't be killed. We can't say just because I said so. The only option we've got is to threaten him, which is odd actually, because I've been making relatively good choices so far. But and that drops our morality because we threatened him to do a good thing.
Yeah. Poetics then.
Do
narrative and gameplay complement one another?
And I guess that sort of leads into that, really.
Yes. Are the key mechanics in keeping with the themes of the story? Well, so you're exploring, you're finding gold. It is clearly linked to the story. There is a story goal. It's not particularly well motivated, but it's there. But the themes of the story, this idea of what goes around comes around, or good deeds will come back and reward you. In
fact, should we talk about the pacing first, because that's going to tie into this, I think.
Sure. Yeah. So that's the techniques. So this is the kind of do they have a good pacing? Have they used more than one game writing technique to tell the story?
And that's the thing. It doesn't have that. It doesn't have a final peak. It's got a number of sort of little things that you go around and do, but there's no resolution to it in terms of gameplay. Like there's no sort of final boss, and there's no narrative resolution either.
There are sort of beats to it in that you've got the quests, but there's not something that feels like you're making progress with your goal particularly.
Yeah, it's.
I haven't quite captured that. And there's a complete lack of a climax, which is a real problem.
I think there's sort of a lack of ascendant pacing as well. There's definitely sort of little peaks throughout.
Yeah.
But it never builds to anything, and that sort of brings me back to what I was what you were saying, in that the poetics of it and the sort of bringing across that theme. If we'd sort of finished all of the quests and ended up with no money because we'd been so good, and the princess was like, "Oh, how could you?" and then everyone came back and was like, "Oh, thank you. Here's some money for helping us out," kind of thing. Yeah. Then that would really bring across that theme. But as it is, there's no resolution, so it's hard to have that theme.
So okay. So let's do the poetics first. So, satisfactory would be that the narrative and the gameplay don't interfere with one another, but the mechanics have little to do with the themes of the story. And good would be narrative and gameplay complement one another, and the key mechanics are in keeping with the themes of the story. So I think they've tried to make it work with the theme of the story, but because they're lacking that last piece, it doesn't quite fit together.
Does it say anything in the? So in their game notes, it talks about there are 9 different endings, but their ending is just you talk to the NPCs and they say something based on.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. That's the. It feels so strange an ending that I'm wondering if there's a bug that means we're not seeing the resolution.
It could be. It's difficult because their game notes, they have these little graphs for each of the quests, but the wedding is just a box that says wedding, and then it says outcome of the wedding depends on the player's morality and gold. Additional quests are the NPCs additional guests are the NPCs that the players formed a positive relationship with. So I think that is it, right? So I think in terms of the poetics, I think that it's certainly satisfactory. The narrative and gameplay don't interfere with one another, and I can see what they're trying to do with the mechanics and kind of link the, by having the people come back at the end. But it just doesn't work without that climax and without them actively doing anything at the end. So for me, the poetics are probably satisfactory.
I would say maybe a little above satisfactory, because I can at least see.
Okay.
The mechanics are definitely trying to do that. That's the thing. It's just they're not doing it well.
In the right direction. Okay. And for the techniques, we just go back to the pacing. A pass would be pacing is unclear or flat. Partially successful attempt to use at least one game writing technique. So I think the pacing probably is unclear or flat. In terms of the game writing techniques,
the techniques are. I think they're actually pretty good.
They're not bad at all, are they? We've got. What are the ways the story's told? It's.
You've got sort of ambient dialogue, sort of as you wander around and sort of chat to people.
That's quite cute.
You've got
interactive dialogue.
You've got little sort of scripted things that happen, sort of as you. When you complete a quest, then the quest giver just wanders off. They don't just stand there
Yeah.
forever.
I agree with you. I think that part is quite nice. So that would be the use of more than one game writing technique. So that would be good. So probably if one half is pass and one half is good, that probably means that overall the techniques are satisfactory.
Yeah, okay.
Which takes us on to their feedback. So for their feedback, they said, the major piece of feedback that we received at Lab was to ensure there was an incentive for each of our decisions. The feedback was given because when we had decisions where there was clearly always the best option over another decision, meaning there was no incentive to pick the other one. So we tried to include only decisions that were completely necessary and added to the game. For example, that branches the story or had a positive effect on the player. Entirely sure that that's answering the point, but okay. Another suggestion was to make sure the player had agency by giving them enough information to make the decision choices instead of calculations. So again, this is what we were talking about what's the context to this. To do this, we make it clear to the player what the effects of some decisions are. Often if the player wants to heal, they have to make a bad moral decision. So that's where the +1 heal thing comes from. So that's something they've done which worked, I think. Finally, the idea of a 3x3 matrix of endings with morality and gold being the axis was suggested. We like this idea and decided to incorporate this as our implementation. Okay, so that's what happens. But they don't actually tell us in the game notes what the outcomes are in that matrix. So presumably presumably what they mean is the thing that the princess says to you differs. So you get different people there according to what you've done, and then the princess's reaction to you presumably changes.
Also,
Have you tried going through and being horrible all the time?
Yes, I did.
And what happened?
The princess was surprised I invited all of the bandits to the wedding, but said she loved me anyway. So I think I have sort of just found another example of gameplay impacting the narrative here.
Okay.
Sort of. So if you get defeated by the muggers, it's not just instant game over. They actually just mug you. So you you wake up again with half your health and missing some of your gold.
Oh, that's quite nice actually. Yeah.
So I'm trying to go through this run and be really good, but have no money to see what happens.
Okay. So I think in terms of feedback, I'm not sure they've understood the first comment about the trying to give incentives to their decisions.
So I think I was the person that spoke to them about this sort of during development, and yeah, I think sort of some of the initial choices they outlined were very much a case of one option was always better than the other. Yeah. So at least I feel like, for example, where you kill the duck or don't kill the duck, it still feels a bit clunky, but I can see some evidence that they have tried to do that by saying, well, if you do this, you get plus whatever health, and if you do this, you're not a terrible person.
Yes. So I think that so they've done that, and the bit they've not done is that is they then. So one of the things they did as a reaction to that was just to remove lots of choices from the game. I'm not entirely sure that was the right thing to do, but what they did do that was right was to kind of try to balance those choices so that you were clearly making choices between two different outcomes which were good for you. Okay, so satisfactory would be feedback was articulated and some changes have been made with partial success. And my feeling is it probably sits there.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right to me.
Okay, so a nice looking game, and they've tried to do a lot right, I think, and not quite pulled it off. But there are some nice examples of trying to control agency in particular. And it's just a shame they didn't have some kind of climax to the story rather than just and have the wedding as a denouement rather than actually having the wedding as the climax. But yeah, good go. Let's see what happens.
There we go. So now I've got
no gold.
So lots of people, but no gold.
So the chests are missing as well, so that's quite nice.
Yeah, so they just have their usual
dialogue. What
dialogue.
does the princess say to you?
That doesn't feel like a good ending.
No. Yeah, right to the village. Who wants to marry a princess who thinks like that?
Yeah. Anyway, that's our last game for this batch.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so we will we'll see you again for another video.
Bye bye.